Hello there and welcome to Grammy Storytime. I'm so glad that you're here. My name's Grammy and I created this channel for my grandkids. Hello Bowen. Hi Bashi. Hi TT. Hi Sylvie. Hello Theo. Hi Kenzie. And if you hear the thunder, it's just like in our story. It's trying to rain here and it's getting just a little bit dark. But I'm not afraid. But our story is about someone who was afraid one time. It's called Once When I Was Scared by Helena Claire Pittman. When grandfather was a boy and lived upstate in the mountains, his mother sent him to get hot coals from the neighbors next door. Next door was across two hills and through a dark wood. The stove had gone out, and dank air now seeped through the walls of the cabin. After a week of steady autumn drizzle, the woodpile was too damp to kindle coal. Grandfather's mother took the tin box with the wooden handle down from the shelf. "Don't go wandering, Daniel," she said as she looked uneasily through the curtains at the sky. "It feels like a storm is coming." Daniel pushed his feet into his boots and put on his coat. See, there he is. He's putting on his coat and his boots. Then he picked up the box, stepped outside, and headed toward the woods. A few fiery autumn leaves still clung to the trees, the only bright color in the foggy valley. They shivered in the wind, which stung Daniel's cheek. "Hurry back," his mother called. "It will be dark soon." See, it's already getting dark a little bit, isn't it? But her voice sounded far away. Daniel was already sliding, half falling through the wet leaves. Down the far side of the first hill, the wind blew smoky-looking clouds across the sky and whistled through the holes in the sides of the coal box. Daniel stumbled over slippery rocks and roots as he tried to run. Tangles of branches caught his woolen leggings, slowing him. So there he is. He's trying to get down the hill, and the trees are tree branches and the tree roots are kind of catching his feet. But suddenly he broke free. Now he moved easily over the roots, springing gracefully off the rocks with his strong back legs. His sharp claws dug into the leaves. Behind him, a silvery tail bounced on the wind, its white tip a bright flicker in the shadows. And there he is. He's carrying his box. He's become a fox. Then he was knocking at the Nickersons' door, his heart pounding. "Come in, Daniel," Mrs. Nickerson said with a friendly smile. "Catch your breath and warm yourself." "Mama is waiting," he panted. "May I have some coals? Our fire went out." I guess he's not a fox anymore. Mrs. Nickerson filled his tin box with coals from the stove and snapped the lid shut. The box felt warm in his hands as she rewrapped his muffler snugly under his chin. "Good night, Daniel," she called as he left the clearing. She looked like she was really nice, huh? In the dark wood, Daniel started to run. Soon he was covered with sweat underneath his warm clothes. An owl hooted in a tree above him. Hoo, 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 hoo. As he looked up, something caught his foot and he fell. He struggled to free himself, but it wrapped more tightly around his legs. In the shadows, it looked like a snake. Gripping the box, he twisted over like a cat. A big cat. A bobcat. In a second, he bounded away free. His balance was sure. He was long and lithe. His paws made no sound as he leaped again and again over the fallwood and the underbrush. And there he is, bounding and bounding. Uh-oh, he could see the hill behind his house when suddenly he heard a crash of branches. Ahead was a huge black shape. It looked like a bear crouching. The fur on its neck stood straight up. He heard it snarl. A bear stood between him and home. In the place of his cat's paws were his leather boots and mittened hands. Shaking, he dropped the tin box. The lid fell open and coals scattered, hissing on the wet ground. See? The bear turned and rose on its back legs. Daniel jumped back. He felt himself rise off the ground. His feet became talons. His arms, huge dark wings that lifted him up above the bear. He shouted at the top of his voice to frighten it. The sound that came from his throat was a shriek of an eagle. Shriek! Wow. And there he is. He's chasing that bear away. The bear lumbered off into the woods. Moonlight flickered through churning clouds as the great bird landed in the leaves. Daniel took a long, deep breath, then looked at himself. His wings were gone. He was wearing his coat, which was matted with dirt, and his muffler was still wound around his neck. Then he knelt and put the glowing coals back into the tin box. He brushed off his clothes, picked up the box, and climbed the hill. Rain was just beginning to fall as he reached home. See, in that little box were these little embers, like when a fire burns down, and he had gotten those from his neighbor, probably because back then his mommy didn't have any matches. And there he is. He brings it to his mommy. "How quickly you went and came, Daniel," said his mother. She held him close. Her warmth felt good against his cheek. "Hardly 15 minutes passed since you left." She took the coals and laid a bed in the stove for the kindling. Flames soon danced through the crackling twigs. See that box? It's got hot embers. Not too hot, because he wouldn't have gotten burnt, but... And then he asked his grandfather, "Grandfather, did it really happen?" I asked. "I found these in my coat the next day," answered my grandfather. He held out 2 stiff pinion feathers. By their markings, they could only have come from an eagle. He gave them to me once when I was scared. I put those feathers in my drawer where I still keep them. Sometimes when I feel afraid, I take them out. I hold them in my fingers, and I remember the look in my grandfather's eyes when he gave them to me. And that's the end. Do you ever get scared? Do you know that all you have to do is ask your mommy or your daddy or your Grammy, or your grampy or grandpa or someone close to you in your life? They'll usually make you feel better. A hug sure makes me feel better. And I'm sending a hug to you. I love you. Mwah. Thank you. Bye-bye.